today we are going to talk about serial port interfacing. So basically we are going to talk about serial port communication. So main objective of this is explain what is serial communication protocol, describe data transfer rate and BPS rate, that is bits per second rate, interface PIC18 with an RS-232 connector, describe the main registers used by serial communication of PIC18 and program PIC18 serial port in assembly level language. So what do you know about communication? So computer transfers data in two ways. We all know that it is parallel communication and serial communication. So what is parallel communication? 8 or more data lines can transfer the data simultaneously, but the disadvantage of parallel data transmission is that it is not applicable for long distances. So it is for some few feet only, that is for short distance as well as short time. But as we talk about serial communication, it has a single data line. The data will be transferred one by one, but that is applicable for long distance. So if a particular data is serially transmitted, then it can be transmitted through communication lines as well. Okay? The PIC18 has serial communication capability built into itself, built-in है, ठीक है PIC18 में. So this is the diagram showing serial transfer and parallel transfer. The byte of data must be converted to serial bits using a parallel in serial out shift register. So when we are talking about serial communication or serial transfer, that time sender से we have only 1 point and receiver के side पे we have only 1 point, but the data which is to be communicated or transferred serially, it is to be converted first into serial bits. So that is done by shift register, and that is parallel in serial out shift register. And see what we have done, we have converted the data into serial out, right? So receiver पे it will be serial in parallel out shift register. So this is going to receive the data and convert them into a byte. ठीक है? So serial bits में convert करेंगे and it will be transmitted. Then it will be received at the receiver. फिर वहाँ पे shift register होगा, serial in parallel out shift register, and this is going to pack it into a byte. The diagram shows what serial transfer and parallel transfer. यहाँ पे sender से receiver में एक ही line रहता है, but when we talk about parallel transfer, we have a sender, we have a receiver, and 8 parallel bits can be transmitted for 8-bit data. Now, if the data is transmitted over communication lines, then it requires a modem. Now, what is a modem? Modem is modulator, demodulator. So what basically modem does is, it actually basically what is encryption decryption कैसे रहता है वैसा ही है. डेटा को मॉड्यूलेट करके सेंड करना एंड रिसीवर पे डीमॉड्यूलेट करना. सो दैट इज़ द मेन फंक्शन ऑफ द मॉडेम. ठीक है. नाउ मॉडेम कौन से यहाँ पे यूज़ होता है? इफ़ सीरियल कम्युनिकेशन इज़ being done over long distances, it is done through communication lines. So first the data is converted, that is the digital signals are transferred into audio signals. ठीक है. And through audio signals they are converted into नहीं, they are transmitted through the communication lines. ठीक है, फिर when the transmission is done, it is through modem or modulator. ठीक है, and at the receiving side there will be a demodulator. This demodulator will convert this audio tones or audio signals into zeros and ones, which is required by the device which is connected at the receiver end. So that is the main application or main job of modem. ठीक है, then serial data communication के there are two types. One is synchronous data communication and asynchronous serial data communication. So what is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous is, synchronous में the data is transferred in form of blocks and that is transferred at one time. But in asynchronous data communication, the data is transferred as a single byte at a time. So synchronous data transmission करना है तो data is first packed into blocks and that blocks are transmitted. But asynchronous में single byte is transmitted at a time. So special IC chips are made for serial data communication and they are UART and USART. So UART is Universal Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter and USART is Universal Synchronous Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. ठीक है, so these are the two chips which are basically used for serial data communication. UART will be used especially for asynchronous data communication and USART will be used for synchronous as well as asynchronous data communication. So the transmission of the data which is done again has three types. So simplex transmission and duplex transmission, and duplex transmission is further subdivided into half duplex and full duplex. Now what is simplex, duplex? Simplex में we have a transmitter and we have a receiver. The data is simply transferred from the transmitter to the receiver or vice versa, like system 1 and system 2. सिस्टम 1 से डेटा ट्रांसमिट हो रहा है, सिस्टम 2 पे डेटा रिसीव हो रहा है. बट सिस्टम 2 से लेके सिस्टम 1 तक अगर सिंप्लेक्स ट्रांसमिशन करना है तो अगेन वी विल हैव टू हैव व्हाट सिंप्लेक्स ट्रांसमिशन उल्टे वे में. ठीक है, सो ट्रांसमिशन एंड receiving of the data into single direction is the simplex form of transmission. Now next form is duplex. Duplex मतलब सिस्टम 1 पे ट्रांसमिशन रिसीविंग होगा, सिस्टम 2 पे भी ट्रांसमिशन रिसीविंग होगा, बट उसमें भी देयर आर टू टाइप्स. सो हाफ ड्यूप्लेक्स एंड फुल ड्यूप्लेक्स. नाउ हाफ ड्यूप्लेक्स में क्या होगा, there will be a transmitter, there will be a receiver at system 1 and there will be a transmitter, there will be a receiver at system 2. But if फ्रॉम सिस्टम 1 से लेके सिस्टम 2 तक अगर ट्रांसमिशन हो रहा है तो सिस्टम 1 पे रिसीविंग ऑफ डेटा साइमल्टेनियसली नहीं होगा. सिंगल टाइम पे पहले ट्रांसमिशन होगा एंड बाद में रिसीविंग होगा.